If you're someone who wants to earn more money, but you feel stuck and don't know where to begin, today's podcast episode is going to not only inspire you and motivate you, but give you the tools on how you can start building more financial income and take back some of your time and freedom and start living a purposeful, profit-driven, and aligned life. Because in today's episode, I got to sit down with Melanie Greenough, also known as the Queen of Breakthroughs, because she went from being a homeless, single mom to building a multi-seven-figure brand and leading sales team that has generated over $80 million. She's now the founder of Create Your Empire and the author of her new book, The Empire Money Method. She shares her 6-step breakthrough method, how to rewire your brain and overcome fear and imposter syndrome, how to not feel salesy and get really clear on your mission and vision. And she also gives her advice on how you can structure your days in a way that feels free and abundant and joyful. So if you have been craving more freedom, more alignment, and financial empowerment in your business and life, then you're going to love today's podcast episode. And without further ado, let's dive into it. Here we go. Melanie, welcome to my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm so excited to have this conversation today with you and learn from you because I know you have such incredible advice and tips that you help so many entrepreneurs with on a daily basis that I know that we're all going to be benefiting from today because you started off as a homeless mother. And today you have built a business, a multi-seven-figure business, and you share the 6 steps as to how you can do this in an aligned way, in a way that feels good and it doesn't take away all of your time and your freedom. And before we get into all of your incredible tips, I would love to just start off with asking you, because I'm super curious. Was there a moment when you were homeless, you're a mother, and you knew you wanted to take care of your child where it just clicked and you realized no longer am I going to live this way? I want to change. Was there a moment where you flipped that switch?
Yeah, it's funny because I got married and had my daughter, and I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, right? Like I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, raise my kid. And unfortunately, after 2 years of marriage, he had other plans, and they weren't lovely plans. And so that's how I ended up in a woman's shelter with my daughter, making sure that we were safe. And so, in the process of going into the shelter, of course, being a stay-at-home mom, I had no bank account, no car. I sold all my stuff, moved into his house. It was all him. And in the process of all of that, I didn't have enough money or anything really to get my own place. And so as I go to this women's shelter, I remember there you have to apply like for social services in Canada. They call it welfare. They call it something different in the US. But the reality is it's social assistance from the government. And the lady that was supposed to be helping me treated me like I was an absolute stain. Like I was like some sort of leech on society. And I remember sitting there thinking, um, that's wow. Like, I just was so shocked that she was so rude, inconsiderate. And I thought, you know what? That's never again will my finances, my financial future be in the hands of another human again. Not just men, right? But another human, because I was sitting across the room or from the desk from a woman who had to put a stamp for me to get approved so I could get an apartment. You know what I'm saying? So in that moment, I was just like, no, that's not it. And so it's so funny because I think that, most of the time when we make or have those little awareness moments, we can either just have the moment and then let it pass and then go back to our old selves. But I don't know, that day, it just sunk into my spirit that things had to change, not just for me, but for women globally. And so definitely that, and I had no idea what that meant, but I just knew I had the awareness at that time that I did everything you were supposed to do, right? Got married, I had a baby, going to be a stay-at-home. I did all the things right and still ended up in a situation where I couldn't even get an apartment to keep us safe. So yes, there was a moment.
Wow. Powerful. But you were in that situation knowing that you wanted to make change and you wanted to get out of this situation and you no longer wanted anyone to have control over your destiny. What was the first step? Like, what did you do?
It's so funny. I remember at that time knowing that there was no other way than to for me to connect to my intuition, for me to connect to the power that was inside of me. I do believe in God, so it was like, and not like in a religious way, but just in a, I believe that when we're all on our deathbeds, what we do is pray, like, and whatever that is for the person that is listening, it doesn't matter to me what you call it, but the reality is I knew that if it was going to be, it was up to me. And I knew that I had gotten myself in this situation by the way I was thinking. So I knew if I wanted to change my situation, I had to change my thinking. And so, I really, step one, had to make the decision, of course. That's always the first step. Changing anything, even going from, a job to being an entrepreneur, or going from 5 figures to 6 figures, or 6 figures to seven, or 7 to 8. It's all the same process, right? That's why I did the 6 steps, because it's literally the same thing every time. And then I started to lay a foundation. And that's actually where the 6 steps came from. So I made the decision. I started moving towards what I wanted. And I really took it upon myself to study, grow, become better, get plugged in. I was plugged into different books, different trainings, different audios, and I had no money. So it's not like I was like out there spending tens of thousands of dollars on a coach. Like, I literally was raising my daughter on $1,100 in Vancouver, Canada, which is the most expensive city ever. My rent was $2,000. So do the math. You know what I mean? So for me, it was like, the resources are out there, and I was hungry, and I needed to find my way. And I was determined not to give up on what that could look like for us, for her, and thank God for her, because that's really what drove me.
Incredible inner strength and power is required to make such a shift. But it just shows that when you set your mind to want something and you have such a strong why, which was your daughter and this mission that you decided to move towards, it's like nothing can stop you. You can have everything using the right methods, which is what you've put together in your new book, the Empire Money Method. Then it's possible to make change. And I think that's so empowering for anyone listening right now to know that no matter what situation they are in right now and how many obstacles are in their way, they can make change. They can make it happen. Would you be willing to give us a little idea about what the different steps are so that someone who's in that situation right now could start applying it?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, I want to remove my specific situation from it, because I feel like what people do is they think, well, I'm not in that bad of a situation. And so then they let themselves off the hook with the changes that need to be made. I want to let you guys know I've literally helped hundreds of thousands of people genuinely around the world, spoken on stages with 15,000, 25,000 people, on podcasts regularly. Like, I have coaching company and over 10,000 students. And so this is like literally, if you want to go from being in your job to being an entrepreneur, or you want to get a raise, or you want to go from making, $10,000 every 3 months to making $10,000 every 3 days. It doesn't matter to me what the shift is. These 6 steps are the foundations. And of course, there's mindset work. I talk a lot about reparenting yourself, because all of us have been trained by our parents. Most of what you know comes from your parents, like it or not, right? My parents were small business owners. I became a small business owner. That's what I did when I started to rebuild my life. I built 2 traditional businesses. To do anything, I had 44 employees, 65,000 a month in overhead before I made a dime. I had my own kid, 2 dogs, 3 foster kids, because I couldn't stand that kids were getting separated. And I was a single mom. Like, I was so busy. And so I think that, because my parents were small business owners, that's what I knew to do. Just like if your parents were union workers, that's what you would know to do. Or if your parents were, if your mom was a coach, that's what you would know to do. So the 6 kind of foundations that I discovered over time are very, very simple but profound. Number 1 is time. If we don't, actually, let's back up a second. I already mentioned it, but let's put it in the right order. But number 1 is mindset. What I just talked about, reparenting, reprogramming your mind, redefining what you believe about yourself is the core and the base of all of it. I will tell you right now, if you and most people, what they do is they live in a constant state repetition of who they were yesterday. So the results you currently have in your life are a result of how you thought yesterday. And now you look at your results and you think that those are real. And so then you do the same things again. And then I'm sure you see this with training clients, right? Like you get people in the gym and they do the same thing over and over and over again and can't figure out why their body won't change. Well, you have to force your body to change, not like brutally force it, but you have to do things in a certain way to see the changes occur, right? So that mindset piece is so, so important. And then of course, number 2 is time, learning proper time management, knowing how to live a whole life. I don't believe in the hustle culture at all. I used to work 110 hours a week. Now I maybe work 25. So I don't believe in the hustle culture, but really knowing how to use your time wisely and invest your time for the biggest returns. Branding, number 3. Everyone, I don't care who you are. If you have a business right now or not, you have to brand yourself. Right now, even if you want to go get a job, if you want to attract a client, even if you're dating, the first thing they're going to look at is your social media. And if you don't know how to brand yourself and tell the story of who you really are in an authentic way, you're really leaving everything on the table. It's real. I mean, that's like so key. And then the last are sales, right? We all are selling. If you're raising kids, you're selling. You sell them to eat their broccoli. So we do need to learn sales. Financial fitness is at the core, making sure you know what to do with your money. Making money is one thing. Yes, we need to do that. But we need to learn how to keep the money and make the money grow. And so, which leads me to number 6, which is recurring income. And when we talk about recurring income, that's multiple streams from a continuous basis from different sources. So it's nice that you have a good job or you have a good business, but we want to have investing income. We want to have, residual income that's coming in whether we're working or not. So that's kind of the foundation. And, once you start to get those in place, that's scalable, right? It's like going from, like I said, making $10,000 every 3 months to making $10,000 every 3 days. When you have that foundation in place, you start tweaking that foundation and anything becomes possible.
Incredible. What would you say for someone who either is at a job or have already started their own side hustle or own business? What would you say is the most important thing to focus on to start with?
Mindset. You
Mindset.
have to know
That's
what
why
you
it's step
want.
one.
It's step 1. You have to know what you want. People are so vague. They're so vague. Well, I'd like to work from home, or I'd like to have, people think that they want to retire their husbands, or they want to, I don't know, be able to pick their kids up from school. Okay, well, how much money do you need to do that? What do you want your life to look like and feel like, most importantly? Because at the end of the day, feeling is a secret. If you want to transform your life in any way, think about it this way. If I'm just going to use weight loss because everybody can kind of identify with that. But if I was, on a weight loss journey and I was working towards my goals, but I kept a tape playing in my head that I'm fat, I'm a failure, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at dieting, I continually cheat, what signals, my hair just stood on end, like what signals am I sending out and what am I convincing myself of? You can't build a successful anything from that. You're not going to lose weight, and if you do, you're going to gain it right back. So we really have to start with that mindset, and it really comes down to identity. We do a lot of identity, right? Like really becoming the person that you want to be, that has the results that you say you want, right? So if you decide, well, I want to grow a 6-figure business from home, you need to get into the state of being that person now. And it's interesting to watch how hard that is for people, because when you can feel that state, now you're making decisions like that person makes. You're choosing different things. If I see myself as an athlete and I see myself as fit and lean and I see myself as all these different things, then I'm going to do what? I'm going to eat properly. I'm going to rest properly. I'm going to drink my water properly because my identity is aligned with that thing. So you're tuning your radio frequency to the channel that you want. And so absolutely mindset. I don't care what it is. You want a better marriage? Mindset. You want a better body? Mindset. More money? Mindset. That's why actually my program Breakthrough Millionaire, that's literally the first thing we deal with. Literally. Like we're not going anywhere until we dig out all that crap and we reload it with the person you actually want to be, right? And then once you have that skill set, you can coach yourself for the rest of your life on how to do that.
I love this because and I love that you brought it to weight loss as well, because you're talking about building a career and a life where you have the freedom to do whatever you want and get your mission out to more people. And this identity shift is literally this thing I work with inside of my community when it has to do with reaching their fitness goals. And people join my challenge and they think they're going to get the workouts, the meal plans. And yes, they get that. But the number one most important thing that we work on is the mindset. It's the getting rid of those limiting beliefs and rebuilding themselves and their new identity through journaling and through visualization meditations and through taking the action that is aligned with that new self-identity that they're trying to become. It's so important, and it's so
It's
amazing
the
that
foundation.
it's amazing that it's the same thing no matter where in life you want to change. So that also means that if you have been able to apply that in one area of your life, you know that you then also can apply it in the like building financial freedom area or getting in shape area, or like you were talking about developing a more beautiful deep marriage in all these different ways. It's amazing.
It's just like building muscle, right? Like you think about
Yeah.
this, back to the gym because I train too, right? And I've had some health struggles along the way and I've had to reprogram my own identity because, of course, the doctors want to tell you one thing and I'm like, I'm not accepting that. That's not true. But for a bit there, I did. And so I had to reprogram. Knowing how to do it comes key, right? And that's what makes you such a good coach, making sure that they're focused on that identity shift because it's just like a muscle. Once you build that muscle, you might build that one muscle by doing lunges, let's say, right? You do lunges. Maybe you're terrible at squats, but if you do lunges long enough and you do them and you do them and you do them, your legs get stronger. And guess what? Pretty soon you're going to be able to squat. And it's the exact same process, building those muscles of transformation, building those muscles of identity reprogramming. Like I firmly believe that's the number one thing that we can do. I actually have a challenge teen program. They have 7,000 clients currently asking me to come build a curriculum for them on this exact topic because we know that addiction comes out of identity, right? Yes, addiction's real, like it's a thing, but also you have to believe yourself a certain way to become an addict in the first place. So, because if you're not an addict, you wouldn't even put that in your mouth. Like there's no way you would even try it. So it's interesting. It literally is across the board, the number one thing.
It's also the hardest thing to change, right? Because it's our belief, like you were talking about, from childhood, from what our parents taught us when we were kids. And it's so deeply ingrained in us. So that's also why it requires so much, not necessarily hard work, but just being aware. Constantly, if you think one thing, rewiring your brain to think the other thing that you know is going to benefit you and help you reach your goals long term. Incredible. You talk about, which I know both I and most likely a lot of the listeners need, how to stop trading time for money in the way that we've been taught that we need to do to make a living.
Yeah, again, programming. They've told us that making money is hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. They've told us that, a good job, right? If you get a good, follow the track, right? You go to school, you get a good education so you can get a good what? Job. Once you get the good job, they want you to buy what? A car and a house with what? Mortgage, which is what? Debt. The word mortgage is literally a death certificate. Like the morgue, like it literally means till death do us part, basically, on your debt. And so, the whole system is broken, like it doesn't work. And then you spend the rest of your life paying off the debt that they put you in the first place at the job that you're supposed to work at for 40 years, which doesn't exist anymore, by the way. You're supposed to work there for 40 years. Then you retire on 40% less of what you couldn't live on in the first place. So you can retire broke and eat cat food. The whole thing is so crazy. It drives me nuts. So that is very motivating for me because the truth is that I do believe, actually, Bob Proctor was our personal coach and mentor. If you guys don't know who he is, go to YouTube, type in Bob Proctor. He's one of the
I
teachers.
just listened to some of his tapes this morning. That's amazing.
Yeah, so he was our personal coach and mentor, and which was such a privilege. He's gone now, but his teachings are still here, and I highly recommend you dive in. But one of the first things that he gave us was a chart that had one circle in the middle and 17 circles around it. And he said, our goal, he ended up being our coach and mentor for 5 years personally. And then, obviously we've stayed along his teaching and, developed. But the truth is that when that one circle is your main circle, which is your main income, which is most people's job, quote unquote, or maybe small business. Well, now you have one source of income. What happens if something happens to that source of income, and how much stress are you carrying around that? So he says that you need to have 17 streams of income. 17. Well, the first time I heard that, I'm like, dude, I'm working 110 hours a week running 2 companies. I don't have more time. And he said, I didn't ask you for more time. I said, you need to find streams of income. And so then I was like, wait a second. Wealthy people don't go to work for money. They make their money go to work for money, right? They put overalls on their money and they send it out to work, and then their overalls come back with more money. The money with the overalls on it comes back with more money. And then you put overalls on that and you send it out to work. And so I started to change my idea or my belief around how to earn money. And so I then stepped into, trading education, started learning that, which we were in that space for 7 years. And now we've got some really exciting stuff. I'm so excited coming about, just free education classes specifically for women, but for anybody really. And then, we started building multiple streams of income. So I built a coaching business. I have a network marketing business. And then I built another network marketing business. And then we started investing, and we have crypto. And so we started filling out the circles. And so for me, it's like, I don't want you to make a big shift and try to go fill out 15 right now. But I do encourage you to start thinking, what could I do to generate an extra $1,000 a month? What could I do to generate $300 a month? If you think about this, $300 a month is $3,600 in a year. $3,600 compounded at even 4% over a year will change your life, I promise. So, people think, oh, I need $1 million to change my life. No, you don't. You need to have multiple streams of income coming in that don't require your time or less. Like trading requires less time. There are ways to automate your trading. There's different things that you can do. Please don't go look up some dude in his parents' basement teaching you about stuff and then think that that's real. Please don't be dumb. Seek out, educated sources. But that's just an example. So I think that trading time for money is a trap, and I'll tell you why. You always run out of time before you get the money. You always run out of time before you get the money. You'll never have enough time to get the money. So it's just a matter of changing our belief. And ask yourself this question. Let's do a breakthrough moment right now, because this is one of my favorite things to do. One of the things that we do a lot in my community is we talk about breakthrough, mindset breakthrough. Let me ask you this question. Do you believe money is hard to make? And that's for the listeners. Do you believe that money is hard to make? If you believe that money is hard to make, you're going to make making money hard. But what if you shifted? What if that wasn't true? What if you could make as much money in a day that you currently make in a month? What if you could find a way to spend 4, 5, 6 hours a week and start to earn $5,000 a month? People do that every single day. It's not hard. It's not hard. I know it's not hard. I used to think it was hard. Then I changed my mind and I decided I was going to do something different than trade time for money. And then everything happened. So I think that that's huge. I really encourage people to start to change their mindset again around what they believe about money. We do a lot of work on that for sure.
It's something I have had to do a lot of work on over the past many years, and it's little by little getting better. And like with anything, the more I focus on it, the more I improve. if I forget about focusing on changing my identity within that area of my life, I'm making not a lot of progress. So I love the reminder of that it also is something we can keep evolving. I've gotten to a new level of my belief system now compared to where I was, but I can continue to elevate it the more I keep rewiring my mindset towards it. That's amazing. I'm curious for the listener and for me as well. You mentioned trading could be income and additional income. Do you have other things that you've, like, people in your community have done, or that you can just mention to us for people
Yeah,
to
for
get some
sure.
fun
I mean,
ideas?
the main, I always like to start people with a low barrier to entry on new income streams. So, small things that you can do. I've had literally clients start by selling stuff on Facebook. To be honest, they'll go pick stuff up and resell it on Facebook, and then they start to get a taste of being able to make a couple $100 every weekend. Then they're like, wait a second, I just made $1,000 extra a month. It takes me 20 hours at work or 40 hours at work to make $1,000. So starting small, but really what we focus on is finding your zone of genius and stepping into that. There's I have a coach certification program where people get certified, they sell my courses, and then they coach their clients. That's a great way to add in income, as you know, as a coach, and it's very rewarding. I really believe in network marketing, to be honest. I think it's a really, again, you can get started for $200 or $500 or $1,000, depending on the company you're choosing. You do need to know what you're looking for sure. I actually have an online income checklist that I'm going to give your audience, and in there it talks about that. It's just a checklist to kind of what we're talking about right now, like how do they go towards it? What do they do with their time and then, get moving? I think affiliate marketing obviously is a big thing right now. Affiliate marketing for digital products, which mine's kind of a hybrid, but there's others out there that are just digital marketing. But again, it's like, we have to start with that foundation of what do you want your life to look like? Because I could teach you how to grow, I don't know, let's just pick something. Like I could teach you how to grow an affiliate marketing company to 7 figures, but if you don't want to do what affiliates do and you don't want to have those feelings in your life or feel like that person, that's not a fit for you. So it's like, how do we identify what you're good at and move you towards that? I had a mom build a VA business. So she's making $35 an hour from home doing VA work for other people. I had one of my favorite stories. I had a client come and she was ready to give up on her modeling career. And she was 22, which is, you're starting to age out of modeling at 22. And she was in our Millionaire Breakthrough. And she now, after 2 years, it's her second year, she's on her 11th international contract. So it was so cool, right? And as a matter of fact, in the class last week, or on Wednesday actually, so yesterday, last week, so we were talking about the fact that she had to change her mindset to the degree where she believed she could be that international model. And now she's built a modeling course where she teaches other women how to get into modeling. She's like got this whole ecosystem of products. So, the key is starting. The key is just starting at something. And you're going to have something as you're learning to apply what you're learning to, right? So it's one thing to say, I rewired my identity. Well, did you? Because we'll know when you go to do the thing that you're trying to do, if you're going to start banging up against those, those glass ceilings or those walls. And that's when the real work starts. So I think there's lots of streams, but for sure, they can go get the Online Income Accelerator and it'll just start to jog their memory, give them ideas.
Incredible. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was amazing ideas. And it just shows there's so many possibilities, so many options. We just have to be willing to open our minds to receive the answers and the different options that can come to us. You talk about structuring your day like a high earning CEO. How does someone do that?
Oh my gosh. You know what most people do all day? They put out fires. Most people get up in the morning. They roll out of bed. Wah, wah, wah. Alarm goes off. They roll out of bed. They run around. They get their kids ready. They get whatever ready. They run out the door to their job, probably putting their makeup on in the car. They haven't packed their lunch. They haven't, spent any quiet time. They haven't got connected to source or their intuition. They haven't decided how they're going to feel or look or be that day. They get to work with people they probably don't like very much. They spend the day there. They rush around, put out other people's fires all day. Then they rush home. Then they eat, and then they pick up their kids, and then they feed their kids, and then they, do the homework, and then they fall into bed, and then they do it all again the next day, and then they wonder why their life doesn't change. And it's like there's lots of variations of that, but that's the gist of it, right? So to structure your day like a CEO, I call it CEO bookends. So we have a CEO start and a CEO end. So in the morning, and it could be 15 minutes. People will say to me, well, I don't have time in the morning. We'll get up 15 minutes earlier. I don't know what to tell you. Set your alarm for 15 minutes earlier. My kids knew not to talk to me during that time. That's mommy's time. And I usually do some sort of personal development, journaling, right? I actually have a planner that I built, and in it has journaling questions. And then you plan your day's planned already. Your day is planned for tomorrow before today. Like I knew I was doing this podcast a week ago, right? So, having those plans laid out, making your priority your priority. Like if you're trying to build a side hustle outside of a job, you're going to have to carve out time to do that. And it doesn't require a ton of time. You could put aside 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, which might be 2 hours a day and 5 hours on a Sunday or Saturday. Sorry. I don't work on Sundays. But making sure that you're planning your day, identifying your priorities. CEOs don't throw a dart at a dartboard and be like, oh, I guess I should do that today. They have a very strategic plan for the entire quarter. So what I teach is take your year, figure out what you want to do in the year for goals, break it down to your quarters, right? And then break it down to the month, and then break it down to the week, and then break it down to the day. And of course, stuff's going to get moved around. Like I was going to launch my book actually in like a few weeks here. And now we're going on an 8-week tour. We're going to Dubai, Thailand, Bahamas, and Costa Rica, all in the next 6 weeks. Okay. So my book launch is now getting moved. That's okay. That's okay to do that stuff. You don't have to be like committed to everything you write down. But the point being is getting in the habit of prioritizing what you say is important. And for me, that was my spouse, my kids. For me, it goes God, husband, kids, work. That's how it goes for me. But that means that when I'm working, I am working. I'm not messing around when I'm working. I'm getting the things that move the needle done. So that's just kind of an idea. At the end of the day, I wrap up, I look at what worked, what didn't work, what do I need to do tomorrow to move the needle, and then I walk out of my office and I leave it. I'm not on my phone 24/7. I'm not checking emails at midnight. No one's going to die if it takes me a day to get back to them. So really taking that power back and not being run around by everybody in your life.
I know a lot of people have a hard time doing that. Was that like a non-negotiable you at one point had to set for yourself because you saw yourself working that 24 hours in the day, or?
Yeah, I was, when I got started in business, I grew up in a home, like I said, with small business owners, right? Small business owners have been trained that they need to work 24/7, 7 hours. Like it's just crazy what they're taught to do. It's so stupid. And basically for 20 bucks an hour. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But anyways, it is what it is. And then when I moved into running a church, I actually ran a church. Same thing. They want you to work 24/7. And then I, went into network marketing, and that's definitely a hustle culture. And so at one point, we got a check for $33,000. It was the biggest check I'd ever had. I was just like, I literally said to my husband, are they going to take this away from me? Like, are they going to come take this back? Like, I used to make $34,000 a year, and I got $33,000 in 1 month in like 11 months after building this side hustle. I'm like, I feel like I'm stealing. Like, what is happening right now? And he said, no, honey, they're not going to take it back. But at that moment, I realized what I was sacrificing for that money wasn't worth it. I'm like, I'm not doing this. So, and I hired a coach. She's actually retired. She's since retired. Thank God for her, though. She said, you're not working 110 hours a week. Absolutely not. If you can't figure out how to do this in 40 hours a week, you shouldn't be doing it. So I got very serious and determined with my calendar. And sure enough, I shrunk the hours that I worked and increased the income that I made. So, with income climbing to 40,000, 50,000, and so on and so forth. And so then when I launched my coaching business, I was also able to add in the hours without it overtaking my life. And I did prioritize my kids and my spouse. And, the things are important to me. I go to the gym every day. I go to the spa every week. I, get my nails. Like I go out for a date twice a week with my husband. We sit on the deck every single day together. He's after this, he's already out there waiting for me, so it's like, yeah, you have to hit a wall with that, and you have to get to the place of believing there's something different. And I think that it's hard for people because we have a savior complex. We believe that if we don't do it, it's not going to get done, or it's going to fall apart. It's just not true. The fact of the matter is, it's not true. And we get our worth from it, which is the saddest part. We think that hard work, if we work hard, we earn the money. If we don't work hard, we don't earn the money. But what if that wasn't true? What if the opposite was true? What if the less you worked, the more you made? What if, you were so efficient with your time that you only had to work a fraction to get way more than you make right now? That's actually possible. So it's just shifting that and like starting to find your way for sure. And it takes practice. It really takes practice, especially the phone thing, not checking emails,
It's
yeah.
a commitment like anything else when we want to make change in our life. But it does sound like your life feels a lot more fun and fulfilling
And
now
free.
and
And
free.
free. Remember, we're doing this for freedom, right? We're doing it for freedom.
Yeah.
So, I used to give my clients 24 access to me. Like if they were in my coaching group, or, if they were in my Facebook group, or if they were in my, I had used to do one-on-one coaching a lot, which I really only do 3 clients a month now. And, I just don't do it. And I used to give them access, and now I don't. It's like, I will answer you between 9 and 5 p.m. And if I actually, it's not even 9, it's 9 PST, which is 11 my time. So between 11 and 5, I'll answer you. And otherwise, you're going to have to wait till tomorrow. Like, no one's going to die. That's like, no one's going to die. You're going to fine. So, as you start to commit to that, and then the more you do it, the more you realize, oh my God, like, what was I doing? Because I think that what we do, especially as women, we believe that we have to sacrifice our needs and our feelings for the people around us, and it's just not true.
No, and I am absolutely certain that the people you are helping are just so grateful that they're going to get a response within 24 hours. Like that is so quick to get a response from an expert like you. And to them, it's the same whether you would be on it that same minute or the next day. They
You just
still get
nailed
the
it. It's
response.
all what I believe. If I believe that they're going to be upset if I don't respond, guess what? They're most likely are. If I believe they can wait, guess what? They can. Like, it's just literally how it is.
It's something I've had to work on a lot, that same mindset shift as well. And it is freeing, like you were sharing.
So good.
It is very freeing. And you still are helping the same amount in just a more, in actually even a better way. Because if you're helping from a stress standpoint, from, oh, I need it, it's a completely different energy that you bring out to your clients as well.
I'm going to say something there because I think it's really important. You just touched on something that I don't think many people talk about. And that's the fact that oftentimes when you start working with clients, they've paid money. And so they get frantic, and they're already frantic. They're frantic in their lives, which is why they don't have the results that they want. They're frantic because they've spent money and now they're afraid that they're not going to get a result. They're frantic because, they've tried before and it didn't work. All the franticness comes up. And when you constantly respond to your clients on a minute by minute basis, you're just reinforcing the franticness. And so we have to calm their nervous systems, teach them that life is okay, they're going to be okay, and to breathe and to calm the hell down, and when we do that, it actually benefits them in such a much bigger way. So if you're on here and you got clients or you're wanting clients, remember that you teach people how to treat you, and it starts with how you treat you. So, and not only that, when you teach them how to treat you, you're actually teaching them how to have other people treat them. And so, it's peace is more important than being instantly available by a lot.
That was golden. wisdom what you just said there. It's so true. So beautifully said.
Mm.
For the person that is getting intrigued, they want to go check out your community, read your book. They have this idea or maybe they've started it already, but they don't want to sound salesy. They don't want to be those types of business women that are coming at other people in a salesy way.
Yeah.
What do you say to people like that?
So we do a lot of work around mission, right? So if you don't want to if you want to sell without selling, that's what I call it, sell without selling, and not being salesy and feeling slimy about it, you want to go at it from your mission. So if you think about, I'll just use you as an example, your passion is to help people change their lives through fitness and nutrition and identity shifts, right? Like that's your passion. And I bet that you would do it for free. Not that she's going to, but you would do that naturally because you're in your zone of genius and you're just really good at it. And so if I know that that's the truth about you, I'm going to get you to write down your mission statement, and it needs to be big enough. So you have two things that happen. You have a vision and you have a mission. The vision is what you're creating. So I want to impact 1,000 people's lives. And the mission is why you want to impact their lives, right? I want to help 1,000 people feel better in their bodies so they can have better relationships, live better, whatever it is for you, whatever that mission is for me. I'm empowering 1,000,000 women so that they can live a life they absolutely love with a bank account, right? And a brand to match. So I want them to be able to build their sustainable version of their lives authentically, which is why I do what I do, which is why I have no problem taking the credit card. Because I know that that transformation starts with a credit card. If your clients don't pay you, how are they going to get there? We know this. Anything they get for free, they don't take serious. People don't take free stuff for seriously. They don't. There's no skin in the game. And the truth is that unless they're going to pay for it, they're not serious, right? I have free users. I mean, YouTube and all the things, and I love my free content. I love that. But if you maintain a free user status for the next 2 years, what all that says to me is you're not ready yet. You're not serious. So real change starts when you take the credit card. And when you're on the mission, that's the impact. So I will literally say, give me your credit card so that we can blow this thing up. Like, let's go, So I think focusing, creating that vision, focusing on the mission, putting your heart in it. And it does require a certain level of authenticity. And it can be really scary to state things like that, like impacting 1,000,000 people. Like then, because, if you haven't done the identity work, then your brain's like, well, who are you? And there's other better coaches and all the stuff that could go on in my head. But I know that for my clients, I'm the best one for them. And I know that I'm committed to them. And I know that I have the right thing and I've done the thing. So they can follow me confidently, just like they can for you. So that's really what I would say. Develop your vision, develop your mission, really make sure you mean it. Like it has to be where it hits you in the feels. And then just sincerely make the decision. Like when I take the credit card, that's when the transformation happens. And if I don't take the credit card, I'm letting that person down and I'm quitting on my mission. And I promise you, it will change so drastically. The conversations change. It doesn't feel like closing anymore. And then of course we have tactical ways that we close too. I do teach some of that because sometimes people just trip over their words. They just don't know what to say. But that's really the core of it right there.
Powerful. And it goes back to what you were talking about, identity. It's like, I know I can transform someone's life. And if I don't tell them that I can do that for them and I don't really truly believe it, then like you're saying, it's gonna not have them have the transformation that they deserve to have and that they're ready for, if they're ready for it, of course.
You know what's so funny? I think too, like I just popped into my head and I'm actually going to start practicing this in my own. I think I do it naturally, but I don't know that I've ever said this out loud. That your coach, whoever that is, like if you have a client standing in front of you and you're their coach, you're going to see a version of them that they can't see. And it's going to make me cry. And if you don't tell them that you see it, they won't believe it. And so now, not only are we not fulfilling our mission, we're leaving a person stranded in the middle of their pain, in the middle of their discomfort, in the middle of their lostness when we have an answer. And then I think like, well, who am I to do that? Like, I can't do that. I literally can't. Well, look at me. I can't do that. Like, it makes me upset when I actually took a year off, a year and a half off of coaching completely, and I just was, servicing my clients that I had. We had 14 deaths in 9 months. It was crazy, and I just needed a hot minute. And when I went back to a class and we were going through some stuff and there was major breakthroughs on the class and they're like, "We're so glad that you're back." And I was like, I almost let it go. I almost didn't impact the women that I'm called to impact. And where would that leave them? So I think it's really important, as you're, not just you, but anybody listening, that, if you, well, I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're selling Girl Guide cookies. If you have something that you really believe in and you can see in that person the result that you can get for them, and you don't do that, like, oh, to whom much is given, much is required. And so we have to be willing, even though it's uncomfortable sometimes, to say, like, I see you. And sometimes that's all another human needs, is to say, like, I see you and I see the greatness in you and you can do this, and I'm going to do it with you.
I had full body shivers when you said that. And it's so powerful to witness how tuned in to your mission and purpose you are. And I know that that's also what's required for the listener to make this happen. It's look at how invested you are in these women who you're trying to serve. It's the same for them, right? And for me, I feel that deeply as well. And I think that's also why I've been able to help a lot of people. And it comes back to the vision and the mission, like you were talking about. But it's just beautiful to witness you feel that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Um,
and Grace, who referred me to you, when she connected us, she literally said to me, "This is the only coach. You have to meet Pernilla." She talked to you about you for months, and then we just didn't get connected. But she goes, "No, finally, you have to meet her. She's changed my life." She was already an athlete, you guys. Like, she's not coming from not knowing what to do, but you didn't change her life because she didn't know not what to do. You changed her life because of who you are and your willingness to engage with her in a situation where she could then respond with her greatness. And so if you hadn't been there as a mirror and pulling her forward, God only knows, like, I don't know, she could be doing Richard Simmons videos on YouTube. Like, I don't know. So, it's really cool to see what you're doing with your clients. It's really beautiful. Like, she swears by you as a coach, especially, in that fitness world, but really it comes down to the mindset and the identity.
wow. Thank you for saying that, and sharing that. That means so much to me. But Grace is such an exceptional human. She has
Right?
inspired me, right?
Yeah.
Isn't she just amazing?
Yeah. She really
And
is.
I'm so she blows my mind every time she opens her mouth. I'm like, wow, you are an exceptional human being.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing too, is you learn from everyone. Like it's,
Hmm.
but yeah, she's really something
So good.
something else in the best way possible. And I'm grateful that she got to connect the two of us, and she shared with me how you guys have now started to work together and how excited she is about it. And I'm excited for you guys, everything that's happening with your book. Share with the audience, where can they find your book? How can they get into your community, if that's even open, or how can they work with you and get to learn more from you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. I think the best way is to go to shescreatinganempire.com. We'll put it in the show notes. Shescreatinganempire.com, and you're going to see right in the, like, you'll see the header, and then you're going to see the online income accelerator. They can download that. That's a good start. The free Facebook is there. They can jump in there. I do free trainings. I'm actually going to be doing, starting in November, free masterclass every month based on a different identity shift, the breakthrough identity shift around those foundations that we just talked about. So that's something that they can do. And podcast, my new podcast is launching, so that's really exciting too. But I think going to the
Exciting.
website and getting on, opting in for the online income accelerator and getting into the free Facebook group, and then from there they can find my socials, my YouTube, and all those other things. That's probably the best way. And I really want to thank you for that, because to do what we want to do. You as a coach, helping people move better, live better, be better. And for what I'm doing, it's like this is a group effort. And that's what I want the listeners to hear. Even though you're on a mission and you have a vision or you don't know what you're going to do yet, you need other people that are willing to move the ball forward with you, because we're not lone islands. We're all connected all of the time. And so when we, especially women, when we raise each other up, when we lift each other up and we support each other in our missions, it just makes us stronger, more powerful. And so, as you come into, whether it's Pranilla's community, my community, just know that this is a safe environment for you to learn how to be more of you, become the best version of you. I know already by being with you for, this last little bit here, it's a judgment-free zone. You will not find judgment. Like, we don't judge. Like, I don't care where you're starting from. I don't care if I don't care. It doesn't matter. If you've never made a dime or you're making 7 figures, to me, it doesn't matter. It's like, where do you want to go and what do you want to create? So shescreatingempire.com. Go ahead and grab the Online Income Accelerator. And then, of course, from there, you'll be notified about the book and the podcast and all the things.
I love that. And I hope the listener really does go do that if they feel called to. And I just want to share that every time I've invested in something like this, like what you are offering, like you were saying, it takes investing in yourself in that way to make the change. Because once you've got skin in the game, then you're willing to put in the effort that's required. So I'm hoping that the listener that's feeling called to do this, that they actually take that step and go join everything that you have going on. And we do want one final little piece of advice from you, because my podcast is called Challenge Your Norm. And I like to ask every one of my guests, if you had the first thing that comes to you, if you had to challenge the listeners to challenge their norm in order to somehow improve their life, how would you challenge them today?
Oh, that's so simple for me. Challenging the norm for me means, why wouldn't you be a millionaire? Like, why wouldn't you? Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. It's already, the millionaire version of you already exists. It's already there. There's nothing new under the sun. There's literally nothing new. Nothing new. You don't even really have to create it. You have to tune into it. You have to become it, and then it shows up, right? So I'm going to ask you, how committed are you to poverty? And when I say poverty, if you're making less than $300,000 a year, you're in poverty. Like, sorry, that's just the truth of it. And $1 million is barely a good start. So if I can change my money paradigms, why can't you? And if you can challenge one thing in your life, ask yourself, why not you? Like, why not you? Just because you earn your money a certain way, maybe you're a nurse. Do you have to be a nurse? Is there some sort of, record that I don't know about, or legal agreement that says you have to continue to be a nurse? Like, you can keep doing that, but also, why wouldn't you be a millionaire? So I think that's it. Challenge the norm. Challenge the norm on what people believe is possible for earnings. Challenge the norm on what you think is possible for you in your own life, and just step out and do it. Like, millionaire breakthrough. Let's go.
I love that. I feel so inspired by you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on here and just sharing so much golden wisdom. This was powerful, and I want to go back and listen to this again because I feel fired up. And I just want to thank you for all the work you do in this world and the people you help, and coming from where you came from to having achieved what you've achieved today. You're literally proof that it is possible. So thank you for showing us that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on here and for continuing doing the work that you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I feel right back at you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if you did, I would love for you to give us a rating, a review, and potentially share it with another person who you think could find it useful as well. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.